I honestly don't feel bad for her one bit because she had so many opportunities to tell him that she's a woman. And even in this episode, in the beginning of this episode, you just kissed the guy and he he came up next to you. You had plenty of silent moment where you could have told him, "Hey, I'm a girl. You don't have anything to worry about." But no, no. She let his friend be the one to tell him that she's a woman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another review on the Review Garden.
Honestly, he has every reason to get mad, okay? Even though like he is replaying in his mind like those moments where she was like, "What would you do if I was a girl?" Or when he first met her and he was like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Or even when she said her ID number. You know, and different instances that happen and he's playing them in his head. Obviously, yeah, he there were moments he should have caught on. But for her to claim that, oh, she loves him, duh, 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 even if he said that he wanted, obviously he's going to say that if he's going through the motions of liking, quote, a guy, right? So obviously he's gonna go through the motions and gonna say, yeah, it's okay, um, if I like you because he really, 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 really did like you. And he had to go through a lot to get there, you know? When all you could have just said was, oh, hey, guess what? I'm a girl. And then we wouldn't have dragged this on so long, right? The other girl that's with the cousin is just as annoying because you can't tell me like you left this man, you left him for another man for 2 years or however long it was. For 2 years, you come back and then you're getting mad at him because he kissed another girl. Oh, he's supposed to be only in love with you. He's only supposed to drink coffee with you. Like, it's the audacity. And then you even use the same guy, the same flipping guy that you left him for, you're using him to rile him up. Like, and then you're getting mad at him, even though he told you that he's over the other girl. You're like, oh, you're not really over her. You don't get over things that easily. And I'm like, what exactly are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, she's so annoying. If you want to leave, leave. But she looked like she's looking for him to fight for her, like tell her not to leave. Like he's like, this is the second time you want to leave, like leave. But just know that don't come back here. Like after this, we're through because you left him, you came back, he welcomed you, right? And then now you're acting stupid. Yunchun and Hangul made up if after he went through this whole thing. He even punched his cousin in the face because he found out that his cousin knew. But I'm like, it's the audacity because you know you 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 stayed by your cousin's girlfriend's side, right? Because you were into her. But then now you find out that your cousin was into Yunchun and now you have a problem. Like, and the funny thing is he spent 9 years wanting the other girl. This man only spent 4 months. So like it's a big difference, which is why I don't understand why the other girl is doing all of that. Like you're doing way too much. you're telling him, he swayed, da 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 da, as he shouldn't have liked anyone else. He should have only had eyes for her. I'm like, you're very immature because you. And when he repeated it back to her, she dated both guys at the same time and left him because she wanted to go to New York or something with the other guy, which she did. She was dating both of them for a year. And then she left with the other guy, dated for another year, and then came back to him. So I'm like, you have zero, zero, zero right to tell him anything. Like, zero. But, he is in love with her, so he tried to tell her not to go, but she still left him, I will say, but she didn't end up going to New York. So now, he's trying to find her and all that stuff. But back to Hungul, you know, he decided to forgive Yunchun. Um, after pretty much everyone at the cafe was telling him, like, okay, you need to stop. Like, we get it, but you should be happy that she's a girl, pretty much is what they were telling him. And then, afterwards he finds out that his father is not really his father, and that the guy that he met a few days ago is his actual father. So his father that raised him and his biological father and his biological mother were all friends, and both guys like the woman. And then at first the father who raised him was like, he he wasn't with the woman because she was an orphan and his mom did not approve. And then he was like, okay, that's a lie. He changed his mind or whatever. So I'm guessing he changed his mind to go with the woman that he's currently with. um and then what happened is, so that means the girl went with the other guy and they had a child. Well, guy decides that he doesn't want to be there anymore and he flies to another country, leaving her pregnant and alone. But then after she had her child, that's when she got in a car accident and then, and passed away. So now the guy, his adopted father, took him in with his wife, with his current wife, and raised him as his own. And it wasn't until 12 years ago that, Hangul started acting out because he thought that his father cheated on his mom and that he was his, quote, illegitimate son. But now he found out that, his dad is not even his dad, right? His dad is not even his biological dad. So hopefully, they make up and and put this behind them, because that's a hard thing to even like go through, because he was also like, he took the child of the woman that that he was in love with and raised it with his new wife. I don't, ugh, that's that's hard. That's hard. But, in a way, it's like if they really wanted a child, they would raise that child without knowing the difference. And that's exactly what he said. They raised him to be so happy that he didn't even know that they weren't his parents. But yeah, so now it's up to that time when Hangyo is gonna go to the back to the US. So they called him because he was a freelancer for a toy making company for the past 3 years, and they called him and offered him a job. So now he needs to decide whether Yoon Chen is going with him or if he's going by himself or if he decides not to go at all. And what annoys me is the fact that Yoon Chen's sister was like, "Oh, because when she was talking about the whole thing, she was like, because he had asked her to go to the US with him, with yeah, with him. So when she was talking about it to her sister and her mom, the sister was like, "Oh, you're so selfish." Um, because if she goes to New York, who's going to, because Yun Chen is the breadwinner. She works so many jobs to bring money into the family, and her mom works too. The only person who doesn't work is the sister. But she goes to school. But she's like, "Oh, you're so selfish. Who's going to bring money into the house?" And I'm like, the only person who's selfish here is you, because you use the other boy, the other guy who's like in love with her. She mistreats him the whole season, the whole series. Even the other guys at the coffee shop is telling him like, yo, you need to get over her, because she just walks all over him. And even Hung Yo's best friend is trying to set him up on on a blind date, because he's like, you need to get away from her, right? So I'm like, you're the selfish one. You only care about yourself in every situation, because you're like, who's going to bring money into the the house now? And oh, you're not gonna marry him? What about our house? What about our car? Because she was expecting Hangyo to buy them a new car and a house to live in. And I'm like, okay. So like, and then when Yun Chen is like, she's no longer going to New York with her, she's no longer going to New York with him, the girl gets mad again. And I'm like, what is it that you want, girl? What is it that you want? I didn't know Yu Chun's sister and the guy from the coffee shop were dating. Uh, she accused him of cheating on her sister, and I'm like, I thought you had to be together in a relationship for him to be cheating. They were never together. They never even kissed. Throughout the whole time he kept following her around. So to say they're together is like, that he cheated, is like, whoa. She never even gave him the time of day. She just kept on, I don't know. From the beginning, they never made it look like they were together. He was chasing her and she was playing hard to get and being mean. So for episode 14, 15, 16, and 17, this will be the review. In episode 14, the grandma finally found out about Yoon Chun and Hangyo dating, and she is not happy. Like, she's pissed off. Started calling Yoon Chun a thing because she doesn't look like a boy or a girl, and she doesn't have any money. And I'm like, didn't you learn anything when it was your son? Like, when the son was like, oh, his grandma didn't approve of his choice, you went to um you know, the choice went and had a baby with another person, and then y'all still ended up raising that child. So it's like, I don't know, it's a pointless thing to me for you to be like, oh, you don't approve of her because of her background, when in reality the whole reason the coffee shop is, you know, doing so good is not necessarily her grandson. It's everybody else, and mostly Yunchun, who got everybody together, who is pretty much the glue of the shop, because her grandson, you know, anytime he's mad about something, he leaves the shop. So I don't know. So to be like, you know, she wouldn't be a good homemaker is like, even the mom who's like, oh, I don't like her either. You guys haven't even taken the time to get to know her. You knew her as a quote boy, but you haven't taken time to know who she is. And I like the father now because he's just like neutral. He doesn't, he was just like laughing when the two ladies were mad about, you know, Yunchan. And he's like, uh, I don't have anything to say about this, you know? So now we know that, what's his name? Hangyo is staying in Korea. He's not going to America anymore. He wants to stay. Um, and his father and him were talking about franchises. So I'm guessing they're going to open another coffee shop and go from there. He said that he's not going because he loves Yunchun and he loves making coffee more than making coffee with his friends more than making toys by himself. So, which, you know, should make everyone happy at the fact that he's staying, because they didn't want him to go, right? But they're mad. The grandma mostly is mad at the fact that, oh, you're staying for her, blah blah blah. And then in episode 14, we also find out that, you know, um the the cousin, I don't remember his name, but so he got back together with that girl, Yoonju, and she's pregnant. And now, you know, they're planning for the baby. And I'm like, don't you have to tell your grandma too that, you know, you got a girl pregnant and you guys are not even like planning on getting married? Because I'm like, you have two grandsons. Like, why are you so focused on that one? Like, you should be focused on the other one too, right? If you're gonna be like all up in their lives, you need to be all up in the lives of both of them, not just one. With all of 15, it was pretty much, you know, the grandma being still disapproving of the relationship between Hangul and Yunchan. And, you know, even the father was like, mentioned to her that, hey, you know, don't let the same situation that happened with me happen with him. And the grandma also finally found out that, you know, the other two are getting married and that they're expecting a child. So at the end of episode 15, they had their wedding, but the grandma didn't stay for the wedding. She got worse, so she had to go back to the hospital. Um, which is why, like, she shouldn't be stressing herself, you know, with everything that's going on. And then you have Hangyo that's been trying to propose to Yunshan, and, you know, he did, but she said he did the day of the wedding. That's when he officially, and he had rings for her, but she doesn't want to marry him yet. She wants to wait 5 years, but he wants to get married now. So they didn't finish episode 15 in the best of terms. In episode 16, it's kind of starting where he's still trying to understand her point of view, and because she's the breadwinner of her family, she's trying to provide for them, for her mother and her sister, and her mother and her sister are not working. So um so it's all on her, right? So that's why she doesn't want to get married, because she wants to become a barista to help her mom and her sister. This is what I don't understand. Like, why is everything falling on her, right? Like, for the longest time, she didn't go to school, she didn't go to college, because she had to take care of her family, right? Not her mom, her. And her mom has the opportunity to remarry, but her mom doesn't want to remarry. Her mom told the guy, "Oh, if you still want to be with me when both girls are out of the house, then we could be together." And I'm like, so instead of you as the mother to take care of everything, you're letting her take the responsibility. You're letting her, as the older child, take the responsibility to take care of your house. So now she doesn't want to marry him, um, you know, until she takes care of them. And she doesn't want his money. And I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like it's a little too much for her to take on her own. And I get the whole independent thing, but you know, to be saying that, oh, she's selfish, da, da, da. If anything, she's the least selfish one, right? Like when her sister called her selfish for getting married and leaving them on their own. And I'm like, whoa, the mother could get married and have someone else come in and take care of them. The mother could get a job, right? And help with the finances. Why is it always her working 3 or 4 jobs just to bring um you know food on the table? And before she said she didn't have any goals other to make money, but now she actually wants to become a barista and she wants him to wait, which I can understand that, because now she finally found a job that she likes and she wants to pursue that further. But it's the part where, even though she's gonna go to school, she's still, to become a barista, she's gonna still need a job to to t- take care of her family. I mean, I don't know. It's too much to put on one person that's not even supposed to be the one doing it. You know what I'm saying? Mid episode 16 and pretty much majority of 17. So the grandma decided, when she heard that Yunchen wanted to become a barista, she she decided to pay for her to go study in Italy how to become a barista, and she would be gone for 2 years. So now instead of him leaving, it's her leaving to go pursue what she wants to do. Now it's so they're like all you know they're excited but really sad that she's leaving. So she goes and she flies away, go to Italy for 2 years, and she she like becomes the best. She even won the world competition. So that all that made her look good in the eyes of the grandma. And the grandma was like, 2 years. Then if after 2 years you come back and you guys still want to get married, then you can go ahead and do that. Um, he was a little hesitant about letting her go at first, but that's she wants to follow her dreams, right? So she went, and then they kind of did this whole 2 years later thing. Normally, like when they do a time jump, majority of the people kind of change their hairstyle, but here nobody's hairstyles really change other than Yunchun, and she got longer hair. The only thing that kind of confuses me is when um 2 years later they were showing the cousin. I don't know if they lost the baby, maybe they did. There was that one time before they did the jump, the girl was in the house and her stomach was hurting her, and then they went to the hospital. So I'm guessing they lost the baby, because when they did the 2 year jump, they didn't even show the baby at all. So I'm guessing that's what happened. Um, and then after they did the 2 year jump, um, the guy that was dating Yun Chan's sister, he's going into modeling, and the Yun Chan's sister is pretty much his manager, but he still works at the coffee shop. They are also opening a new branch, which is now called Coffee Princess, which only hires women, which kind of makes no sense because at the Coffee Prince right now, they've hired a woman. But I guess it's until Coffee Princess, finish construction. But it looks like that girl is going to end up with the other coffee, the other guy who works there, the one who makes the waffles, because they both speak, Japanese. So he's kind of like taking an interest in her like that. But, you know, he still thinks like she shouldn't be in the coffee shop. And then the other guy, who was pretty much the player, Hungo's best friend, he got a girlfriend and he's been with her for 2 years. So that was, shocking. But it's interesting to see how that happened. And although I didn't see the point in bringing it up, because in the beginning, yeah, we knew that he was rich and his father didn't approve of what he was doing. So, the father cut him off, which is why he came to work in the coffee shop. But in the end, 2 years later, they tell you that the father's hospital gets shut down. Okay. Like it, I don't know, it was kind of an unnecessary um an unnecessary script. Like it didn't need to be there, kind of thing. Like you could have just left it at that, you know. What else? They they made he What I didn't like about the ending is that they made such a big deal about the wedding and them getting married that they didn't even show you a wedding. And this is 17 episodes, which is not their normal. They gave you a whole extra episode, right? So like the least you could have done is give us the wedding of the two of them, since that's what the whole debate was, episode 15 and 16, right? Of whether or not they were going to get married. And then the whole reason the grandma sent her to Italy, you know, was to gain knowledge before they could get married. So I feel like they should have shown us the two of them getting married in the end. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, that was pretty much all that happened. And they kind of showed you, you know, Mr. Hong. He met the woman that ran away with his money, and I'm guessing that was supposed to serve as closure. But to me, it was just another filler that didn't need to happen. That whole instance, you could have given me a wedding. You know what I mean? So, with that, join me again for the rating of the entire show. I remember watching this show, you know, pretty much around when it came out. And I remember loving this show. And looking at the rating, it has a 9.5 from a lot of people who've watched this. And, you know, it's almost like my mindset from back then and now is, you know, definitely different. And there were things here that I thought, like, okay, we are dragging this on too much. The show is supposed to be about, you know, a girl who gets, you know, people treat her as a man, people see her as a man, and because of that, she pretended to be a man to be, you know, in the coffee shop. But once it got too much, I feel like she could have revealed herself and not waited until the time when she actually did reveal herself. And there were a lot of unnecessary things that happened. And as I said, they added an extra episode, so 17 instead of 16, and still no wedding. When, like, you know, the last two episodes were about the fact that last 2 or 3 episodes were about the fact that they were going to get married, and you just ended with her coming back and no wedding. So I don't know, that was kind of weird to me. So with all that, with everything I've said in this review, I'm going to give this show a 6 out of 10. And this wraps up our journey on the Review Garden. Thank you for joining me today as we explored this drama. If you enjoyed this reaction and review, please remember to subscribe for more insightful videos. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback helps our channel grow. As always, I'm truly grateful for your support and for joining me on this journey on the Review Garden. Until next time, and happy listening. Bye.